as a council member from the borough of Brooklyn, I have many questions, but the Chair of Finance already said that there'll be a special hearing convened to discuss the immediate issues of that day. So some of my questions I will save for that day. However, there are some number questions that I have. We were given preliminary information in the borough that there was a nominal number of constituents who were purged from the rolls who actually showed up to vote. What was that number?
Hold on one second. I have, where is it? I believe Brooklyn, here it is. We had 98 in the borough of Brooklyn whose affidavit ballots were revived through the scrutiny that we discussed earlier.
So just for the purpose of this audience, could you tell me how many registered voters there are in the borough of Brooklyn?
I don't have the total voter registration number for Brooklyn with me presently, but I'm certain before the conclusion of the hearing, we can get it for you.
So for those of us who are part of the Brooklyn delegation, that number of 98 is a little alarming, because unless that 98 was focused solely in my district alone, that would make sense from the preliminary and anecdotal reports I got from my constituents. So I'm concerned that somehow that number may actually not be correct. So I'm looking forward to having a deeper kind of drill down on it, because in my district alone, during that day, I serve in another capacity, which allows me to have to access poll sites that entire day, and I was getting calls all day, every day, all day that entire day, and running kind of around the borough, or around my district at least, putting out fires. And other people who serve in that capacity were doing the same thing. We were talking on the phone, so I find it, a little bit strange that that number seems that minimal. And then the second question I have is about the change of poll sites. We found that a lot of poll sites, and in this borough, I don't know whether it rises to the level, but there's some talk that there's a great degree of disenfranchisement by how the poll sites are being changed, especially as it relates to seniors, as it relates to the handicapped. There's a lot of movement, and it seems disproportionate to other boroughs in terms of the movement of poll sites. Can you just describe to me what that has been and ensure that going forward that's not going to be the case? Every election, and you mentioned we had 3, which is incredibly confusing for the borough, and not only my district, with this incessant movement of polls around election time.
Certainly. If I could just briefly address Councilman's first point. We recognize that there is a credibility gap based on the recent events. What I can tell you is, separate and apart from the hearing process, although the hearing process is necessary, we commit to meet with you or any of your colleagues at whatever mutually agreed upon forum can be established, so that we can full-throatedly explain all of the challenges that we face, what we did with respect to the purging, and how that all came to be, in addition to whatever we must state publicly at a hearing. So I make that pledge not only to you, but to all the members of the City Council. With respect to poll site moves are a significant challenge for the Board of Elections. We do not seek to move poll sites. There is no political motivation to shuffle the deck of poll sites. The challenges that we're facing in all 5 boroughs, and I can get you specific numbers with respect to Brooklyn, is compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act first and foremost. If we can make a poll site temporarily accessible for Election Day, we go ahead and do that. We've purchased ramps that our own staff install. We have vendors that go out and install the ramps and help us with these accessibility issues. Some poll sites, unfortunately, just can't be made accessible in their current condition, and we're held to a high standard, so we end up having to move those. But certainly, we also have others that might have been a private poll site, and if the site has now turned over or no longer has a tax exemption, we lose the ability to designate them. We're not looking to move sites unnecessarily. So I would simply say to all the members of the City Council, yes, we certainly should work together. We should be more hand in glove with respect to this. And if there are more suitable sites in your jurisdiction, since you're on the ground and you know your folks and your constituents better, certainly we're open to any and all suggestions.
Thank you, Councilmember Lander, followed by Gibson, followed by Rosenthal. We've been joined by Councilmember Miller.